Hey guys, Ken Maxfield, the Hide Guy. Also, the owner of the Maxfield Report, and here is your market recap for week ending January the 18th. The week started out on big Packer hides with offer lists much smaller than last week. That is attributed to a very impressive week of sales last week by Packers. It seemed like the business from the conversation we've had came in from not only tanners from several different countries across the globe, as well as great participation by traders who are coming into covering positions. And end of the day, it is believed that there was a well more than last week's production sold. So this allowed Packers to get into better sold forward positions. They eliminated a lot of the selections they were offering. The selections that they did come out with were priced at higher prices. Packers were digging in their heels on their asking prices. It was interesting, though, to note that one of the Packers did come out with the same offers as the week prior, did not change any pricing, and they actually moved in some of their shipping time frames. That's very interesting, the fact that why would that happen when they're telling everyone they had a great week of sales? Couple of explanations. They realized some of the contracts they had on the books were outdated and well higher than the market, so maybe they decided to take them out of their position, or maybe they were just actually advertising a false sold forward position. So you decide for yourself there. But as far as interest this week, it wasn't as good as last week as far as in terms of the total number of bids, but no one was complaining about how much they were seeing. Of course, those people being buyers looking for lower prices and trying to bid the market down found that this not possible. In fact, they were finding their bids quickly dismissed by people selling hides. End of the day, trading this week was pretty heavy in the middle of the week. Prices higher than last week. Prices definitely over the last 2 weeks are up about $5 from their lows of the market, which is great for those guys selling hides. And as far as the number of hides exchanging hands this week, there may be a puncher's chance that they were able to sell the harvest this week. And as I said, looking back, this is probably the best 2 weeks of sales Packers have had going back to the last 4 or 5 months. So good for them. On the cowhide side, producers entered the week with offer lists smaller than last week. That's on the basis of 2 really good weeks of sales. Some selections not even offered, higher asking prices. People in the cowhide trade were saying they had even maybe as much interest as last week, if even more. This allowed them to get a couple dollars, $3 better on a lot of selections. As far as why all of this interest on both types of hides, what I'm being told is you had trader covering their positions. You also had tanners coming in after the New Year's, looking at their overall financial situation, realizing they had some open lines of credit not used yet. Hide prices, without a doubt, were cheap. They wanted to average down some of their current raw stock. And then on the side leather trade, we are in the middle of the busiest time of the year for these tanners. There was a lot of speculation that many of the major brands were going to come in after the holidays, place some orders. They guessed right, and this is not unusual for this time of year, and it's a darn good thing that these tanners got these orders because they needed it like they needed oxygen. This allowed them to be able to have everything covered. It also, there's the factor of Chinese New Year's coming up, and a lot of tanners will be leaving their office at the end of this upcoming week and are expected to lay low during the holiday. So a lot of good things came together at the same time. It's created a very firm tone to the market. Producers aren't willing to negotiate prices, and hey, good for them because they've been dealing with prices that have been going down here going on 18 to 24 months. So another good week of trading in the States. Let's as far as the harvest this week, 620,000 was the number. That compares to 626 last week, 613 a year ago. We are down versus a year ago about like 72,000 head. That's about 4%. I know I've been telling you it's going to be higher. Here's why it's lower right at this moment. We've had one less day of harvest. Going ahead, we will still continue to exceed last year's numbers each week. We will catch up to last year, and my projection for the year is going to be 1 to 1.5% higher than last year. So too many animals still standing, lots of supply, so that harvest number will stay high. Going around the globe. In Europe, they were not seeing the interest that people in the United States were seeing. A lot of the people we talked to in Europe said they're still struggling, lots of hides unsold, unwilling to take substantially lower prices. The challenge for most guys, the abattoirs in Europe are not wanting to take any less money. In fact, they're trying to lobby for more money. So they're not quite seeing the activity we've seen. My thoughts are some of the people who aren't able to buy or don't want to pay the price in the States might look and shift that interest over to Europe. So we'll have to see if that happens or not. Down in Brazil, kind of the same situation as Europe. They're not seeing as much interest as, we've seen in the States. But with the cows firming in the U.S., it's logical that people, when they can't buy cows or they're not able to buy cows because producers don't want to sell them, will look to Brazil and maybe cover in there too. Our friends from Australia tell us, though, they had a better week of interest, a lot more bids. I haven't been able to confirm higher prices, but it's certainly fully steady down there, and wouldn't be shocked if next week on our World Report we aren't reporting higher prices there. So overall this week, a very good week of trading overall here in the States, and we'll have to see what that brings this week. It'll be interesting to see if we have another week of decent follow-up here in the States, because this is really the last week for many tanners in Asia before they go on holiday. And then as far as prices, I don't think you're going to have a chance to negotiate prices. I don't know how much higher they can go, but one thing to keep in mind as we take a little bit longer look at the market, automotive sales have been down here since the fourth quarter, much lower than a year ago. The prospects of good sales for this January is not promising. You have higher interest rates in the States. You have the trade war with China. You have the U.S. government shutdown, where there's several million people right now not getting paid until the government comes back in. So I'm going to make a speculation that we're going to see auto sales off here in January. That is why soaks have been reduced for automotive tanners, somewhere between 20 to 30%, with some saying as much as 50 on a couple isolated tanners. So side leather orders look like they're coming in close to levels of a year ago. They're not exceeding. So overall, leather orders are slightly lower. Forecasts are calling for 2 million more animals globally to be harvested. So my opinion, this is a temporary fur market. It's going to have to run its course, but then we're going to be back to probably having more supply than demand. So that's it for this week. Ken Maxfield, the Hide Guy. Check out my website, www.themaxfieldreport.com. I offer 14-day free, no obligation trials. Come check it out. Until next week, we'll see you then.